Children, now let's discuss about the human circulatory system. You know that human circulatory system, also called the blood vascular system, which consists of a muscular chambered heart, a network of closed branching blood vessels and blood, then the fluid which is circulated. Isn't it? The heart, it is the mesodermally derived organ, is situated in the thoracic cavity in between the two lungs, slightly lifted to the left. It has the size of a clenched fist. It is protected by double-walled membranous bag called pericardium, enclosing the pericardial fluid. And we know that our heart is having 4 chambers, 2 relatively smaller upper chambers. See children? Smaller upper chambers, which is called atria, and 2 larger lower chambers, ventricle. Can you see it? Then a thin muscular wall, you can see here a thin muscular wall called interatrial septum separates the right atria and left atria, whereas a thick-walled interventricular septum which separate the left and right ventricle. The atrium and ventricle of the same side are also separated by a thick fibrous tissue called atrioventricular septum. However, each of these septa are provided with an opening through which 2 chambers of the same sides are connected. The opening between the right atria and right ventricle, is guarded by a wall formed of 3 muscular flaps or cusps. That's why it is termed. See, here you can see cusps. This is tricuspid valve, whereas bicuspid or mitral valve guards opening between left atria and left ventricle. Clear? Then the opening of right and left ventricle into the pulmonary artery here. Right and left ventricle into the pulmonary artery and to aorta. This is aorta. And to aorta respectively are provided with the semicellular valves. The valves in the heart allows the flow of blood only in one direction, from atria to ventricle and from the ventricles to the pulmonary artery or aorta. Children, these valves prevent any backward flow. Okay, so the entire heart is made up of cardiac muscles. The walls of ventricles are much thicker than that of atria. A specialized cardiac musculature called nodal tissue is also distributed. On the upper heart, a patch of this tissue is present in the right upper corner of the atrium here. It is known as sinoatrial node. Okay, sinoatrial node. Another mass of this tissue is in the lower left corner of the right atrium, close to the atrioventricular septum called atrioventricular node here. And children, a bundle of nodal fibers, atrioventricular bundle, continues from this AVN, which passes through the atrioventricular septa, which emerges to the top of interventricular septum and immediately divide to the right and left bundle. These branches give rise to the minute fibers throughout the ventricular musculature of the respective sides and are called Purkinje fibers. Okay, children. So these fibers along with right and left bundles are known as bundle of His. The nodal musculature has the ability to generate action potentials without any external stimuli. It is an auto-excitable thing. However, the number of actions potentials that could be generated in a minute varied at different parts of the nodal system. So the SAN can generate maximum number of action potentials, that is 70 to 75 in a minute, and is responsible for initiating and maintaining the rhythmic contractile activity of the heart. So therefore it is called the pacemaker. Our heart normally beats 70 to 75 times in a minute. Okay children. The next topic is cardiac cycle. So in cardiac cycle, we studied already about cardiac cycle, about systole and diastole. To begin with, all the 4 chambers of heart are in relaxed state. So they are in joint diastole. I will show you that diastole. So as the tricuspid and bicuspid valves are open, what happens? Blood from the pulmonary veins and vena cavas flows into the left and right ventricle. See children? To the left and right ventricle. Then what happens then through the left and right atria? So the semilunar valves are closed at this stage. So the SAN now generates an action potential which stimulate both the atria undergo a simultaneous contraction. So the atrial systole. So that is atrial systole. So this is atria, that is atrial systole. Then this increases the flow of blood into the ventricles by about 30%. Then the action potential is conducted to the ventricular side by a AVN and AV bundle from where the bundle of first transmitted through the entire ventricular musculature. So this causes the ventricular muscle to contract and the atria undergo relaxation. That means ventricular systole and diastole respectively. So coinciding with ventricular systole. Clear children? So ventricular systole increases the ventricular pressure causing the closure of tricuspid valve due to the attempted backflow of blood into the atria. So as the ventricular pressure increased further, the semilunar valve guarding the pulmonary artery and aorta are forced open, allowing the blood in the ventricles to flow through these vessels into the circulatory pathway. So the ventricles now relax and the ventricular pressure fails, causing the closure of this valve which prevents the blood backflow again. So as the ventricular pressure declines further, these tricuspid and bicuspid valves are pushed open by the pressure in the atria exerted by the blood which was being emptied into them by the veins. So what happens? The blood now once again move freely to the ventricle, isn't it? So the ventricles and atria are now again in a relaxed, that means joint diastole state as earlier. So soon as they generate a new action potential and the events described now is repeated. Clear children? So that's about a cardiac cycle. So the sequential event in the heart which is cyclically repeated is called cardiac cycle, and it consists of a systole and diastole of both the atria and ventricles. Okay, so you have to write it separately. As mentioned earlier, we know that heart beats 72 times per minute. That means that many cardiac cycles are performed per minute. So from this it could be deduced that the duration of a cardiac cycle is 0.8 seconds. So during a cardiac cycle, each ventricle pumps out approximately 70 ml of blood, which is called stroke volume. So this stroke volume multiplied by the heart rate gives a cardiac output. Okay, so if the question is asked to write about cardiac output, you have to mention this. Therefore, the cardiac output can be defined as the volume of blood pumped out by each ventricle per minute and averages 5000 ml or 5 liters in a healthy individual. So, you can expect this question for 1 mark, children. So the body has the ability to alter the stroke volume as well as the heart rate and thereby the cardiac output. For example, the cardiac output of an athlete will be much higher than that of an ordinary man. Clear? So during each cardiac cycle, 2 prominent sounds are produced which can easily heard through a stethoscope. Lub and dub sound, isn't it? The first heart sound is lub. L-U-B is associated with the closure of the tricuspid and bicuspid valve, whereas the second heart sound, dub, is associated with the closure of semilunar valves. Okay, children, so these sounds are having clinical diagnostic significances. Okay, you heard about ECG, children, electrocardiograph. A patient is hooked up to a monitoring machine that shows the voltage traces on a screen and makes a sound pip, 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 isn't it? As the patient goes into cardiac arrest, you can see, I know you are familiar with ECG. This type of machine is electrocardiograph and used to obtain an electrocardiogram. The result in a paper, you will see a result, isn't it? Like this. Like this wave. This is electrocardiogram, and the machine used for this purpose is electrocardiograph. Okay, so ECG is a graphical representation of the electrical activity of the heart during a cardiac cycle. So to obtain standard ECG, a patient, this is a standard ECG, children. It's a must question, you have to draw this. A patient is connected to the machine with 3 electric leads. Okay, so while explaining about this, we can say that here is a P wave, a R wave, then T wave, then Q, not R wave, P wave, QRS complex wave, then T wave. Okay, so first let's discuss about this P wave. So what happens during P wave? P wave represents the electrical excitation of the atria, which leads to the contraction of both the atria. Then QRS complex. See, QRS complex. What is that? It represents the depolarization of the ventricles, which initiate the ventricular contraction. Clear? And this contraction starts shortly after Q and marks the beginning of the systole. Okay, children. Then last one is this T wave. It represents the return of the ventricles from excited to normal state. So the end of the T wave marks the end of systole. Okay. So that's about ECG.